A new bipartisan effort from Colorado's congressional delegation to free a father and kids taken by ICE on their way to school. An insider report outlines failures of Colorado's much-hyped firefighting helicopters.
We have fundamentally changed the way we approach wildfire in the state of Colorado, and that comes with growing pains.
Questions about the credibility and leadership of Denver's mayor begin to pile up, this time over the deal to take over the huge Park Hill golf course property. And a pumpkin tossing contest at a school in Aurora is an excuse for teachers to get kids interested in engineering and for me to say trebuchet tonight on Next. A father and his two children taken by ICE on their way to school this week have been moved from Durango, where they were detained, down to Texas. Now there's a bipartisan push from Colorado's congressional delegation to free that family. ICE rejected efforts by other law enforcement to return the kids to their mother. And we should say ICE has not made any suggestion that this father committed a crime. The detention of the family led to days of protests outside a small ICE facility in southwest Colorado. Durango City Council held an emergency meeting this afternoon. There, reps for Colorado's Democratic Senators John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennett, along with Republican Congressman Jeff Hurd, said all their offices are working to get Fernando Jaramillo Solano and his two children out of ICE detention in Texas. Jaramillo Solano, his 12-year-old daughter, and 15-year-old son were detained Monday, despite the fact that he has no criminal history and a pending asylum case. That sparked community protests, which were met with the use of chemical agents and physical force. The police chief down there is asking the CBI and FBI to investigate whether that was excessive force against peaceful protesters.
We recognize the emotions are high. We are disappointed by the behaviors and display by agents and several protesters alike. Concerns have been raised regarding the conduct of the agents on scene, and the encounters included use of force directed towards peaceful demonstrators. Any act of violence, intimidation, or unnecessary force against lawful exercise of people's rights is unacceptable and does not reflect the standard of safety and dignity that the people of Durango deserve.
CBI is already investigating whether a federal agent violated state law by throwing a woman to the ground outside the ICE facility. The local district attorney will decide whether to file criminal charges. Durango's police chief says that most of the 100-plus protesters stayed peaceful. He estimates there are about 10 agitators who were throwing things and interfering with ICE agents. At least 2 people were cited, one person for throwing rocks at the ICE facility, along with a presumably pro-ICE counter-protester who drove dangerously through the crowd. Colorado's expensive, highly publicized firefighting helicopters are often sitting on the sidelines as wildfires burn. The inside story on this is one that the state fire agency really did not want you to know. So all the more reason for our 9 News Investigates team to share the internal report that outlines serious problems with that program. Here's Mark Salinger.
Colorado's grown tired recently of sharing federal firefighting helicopters with other states. So the state spent around $57 million over the past 5 years to buy 4 helicopters of their own. Just how useful they've been depends on who you ask.
We have fundamentally changed the way we approach wildfire in the state of Colorado. And that comes with growing pains.
Mike Morgan is the director of the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control. Earlier this year, he commissioned an internal report on his department's HeliTAC program. 9 News obtained that report, detailing a scathing assessment of the state's firefighting helicopters. It concludes there's low morale, an overall lack of firefighting work, understaffed crews, and limited training opportunities, which have led to safety concerns.
It's a pain point, right, for me, and I think anybody and everybody that read that report, to see some of the obviously confusion and lack of communications in there. And it's my watch, it's my problem. I'll take full ownership for that, but also take full ownership, and I'm going to fix it.
We've bought multiple helicopters without a clear plan for where they would be located, how they would be housed, and how they will be fueled, one staff member writes in the report.
Why spend $57 million of public money if then you have a report that says internally that program isn't contributing to firefighting operations?
I guarantee you the investment in the helicopters will pay off tenfold in keeping fires from getting big and becoming $140 million Cameron Peak fires, right? The question is how the resources are all being staffed, managed, and applied.
Each of the Firehawk helicopters cost around $25 million. The state just had its second one delivered earlier this year. Yet the report details a lack of meaningful work for the Firehawks, saying the crews are often not very busy. The Firehawk has often been the background for press conferences from the governor. One crew member said, "It seems like we're just here for looks, rather than actually operating as firefighters."
I don't think it's a secret that you didn't want this report to be made public. You told your staff this week in an email that you were profoundly disappointed, and it's an unfortunate development that we found out about it. Why didn't you want it public?
I prefer, my path is I would prefer that we sit down, talk it through, and find a path forward.
I asked Director Morgan if we have another fire season like the historically bad one in 2020, does he feel like the helicopter program is ready to respond and fight these fires, considering everything that's exposed in this report? He responded that he has no doubt in his mind that they would be ready, Kyle.
Well, what a shame that you're sharing this with the public that paid for the helicopter. But so how many times has this thing actually flown? We've seen it in a number of photo ops.
So since last July, when they received it and started flying the first of the two, we know that it's flown 24 times. We just got those numbers and still trying to go through them. But if you think back to times that it hasn't been flying, you remember those big wildfires on the western slope?
Yeah.
The main Firehawk, the only Firehawk that they had at the time, that was down for maintenance, planned maintenance, that they couldn't really do anything about. They say that it was unfortunate because then the delivery of the second Firehawk got delayed, so they were left with 0 Firehawks as some of the state's biggest wildfires in history burned earlier this year.
All right, Mark Salinger, thank you. SNAP food benefits pause tomorrow unless a federal judge somewhere orders the Trump administration to fund them during the government shutdown. Right now, there's a scramble across Colorado at the state and the local level to figure out how to keep families fed. State legislators just approved Democratic Governor Jared Polis's request for up to $10 million to fund local food banks. Food banks across the state say they are anticipating a big surge in demand when benefits lapse this weekend. More than 600,000 Coloradans rely on SNAP. It's about 10% of the state's population. State legislators also approved funding to keep food benefits for women, infant, and children, the WIC program, running next month. City leaders in Denver say SNAP food benefits are about to lapse for about 100,000 people in the city. Denver has a budget deficit, so it's not moving money to food banks right now, but it is setting up a website trying to connect families in need, along with willing volunteers, to our food banks. Today, Mayor Mike Johnston, City Council, and some local nonprofits announced a new food assistance task force. Goal is to keep food pantries stocked with food and volunteers. They're setting up food donation sites at city rec centers in each district, and those rec centers will also give away free lunches to kids each Saturday starting this weekend. The resources are all linked through a new city website, denvergov.org/food. denvergov.org/food. That site will connect people to their closest food resources and connect donors to nonprofits in need.
Imagine what you're facing when you're counting down those days and that paycheck doesn't come. And that's not just folks that are struggling or unemployed. That's people like federal employees working at our airport right now, like our TSA officials who are calling our office to say, what do I do when I both don't have a paycheck and I can't get food benefits? There are going to be 100,000 Denverites in that position this weekend.
City and state leaders are telling people to keep filling out SNAP applications and renewal forms if they're eligible, with the hope of getting retroactive funding once the government shutdown ends. Denver's mayor is facing questions about his credibility and leadership at a key moment, right as he tries to convince voters to pass his nearly billion-dollar Vibrant Denver bond program. The mayor went around city council to keep flock surveillance cameras running while making false and misleading claims to the public about how those cameras work. And the mayor also quietly made changes to the big land swap deal for the Park Hill Golf Course without telling city council or the public. Our Spencer Soysher has that.
It's one of Denver Mayor Mike Johnston's grand ideas, trading land out by the airport to a developer in exchange for the old Park Hill Golf Course, and then to turn the golf course into a park. The trade, 145 acres of airport land for the new park. At least, that's what everyone thought.
Radio silent. We were not updated about it.
The land being traded away is in Councilmember Stacy Gilmore's district, but she says she and the council had no idea the trade terms had changed.
It was a plot of land that was significantly depreciated in value because of a fiber line that we found underneath it.
John Ewing with the mayor's office says that fiber line shifted the balance of the exact value for value trade.
It wasn't what we agreed upon.
And they had to chip in another 20 acres of land. But the mayor's office didn't make the new deal public until they'd reached a new agreement.
We don't like to bring people problems, we like to bring them solutions. In this case, we felt like we had come to the solution.
It seems like that is a big enough expenditure that city council should be involved and know transparency wise what's going on.
Gilmore says this is part of a continuing problem. Deals made in the dark, pitting the council against the mayor's office.
I think Flock really has brought it to the forefront.
And while she doesn't have specific gripes about the acreage added or the valuation, it's the silent decisions that she says are eroding trust.
The trust continues to be broken, and that's sometimes really, really hard to build back with community.
At the end of the day, it's our job to inform the city council. We will do so. We did so in this process. And it's also our job to say, hey, we can always do a better job of this, and we will.
Because this land is part of the airport's land plan, the FAA needs to review the deal. In a letter sent to the city last week, the FAA said it needed more time to look at the agreement, quote, because of the numerous abnormalities in the process. There's also a couple of paperwork issues also in question. I checked with the FAA today. A spokesperson told me because of the government shutdown, they didn't have the capacity to answer my questions about what exactly they're looking for here.
So, Spencer, walk me through this. If the FAA says no deal, or if Denver voters say no deal to the portion of the bond that helps fund the Park Hill Park turnaround, what happens?
As I understand it, if the FAA says no, Denver's going to have, if the FAA says no to the deal, Denver's going to have to figure out what they're going to do going forward with that portion of it. They would have to give $1.5 million towards that developer group. Now, if the voters decide not to fund portions of the bond, then you have this open space that's technically already open, but there's not a lot in it at the moment.
I don't know that crossing fingers is a strategy, but if I was at City Hall, I would have my fingers firmly crossed at this point. Spencer Soisher, thank you. Students accidentally learned something today while they were having big fun.
We're launching pumpkins. So they're about 6-ounce pumpkins.
Engineering lessons disguised as Halloween awesomeness. Next. Crispy, the difference between a catapult and a trebuchet. This is like the nerd stuff that we love. I feel like this is in your wheelhouse, but you said it's not.
I don't know the difference. What is it?
Are you doing the 6-7 thing with your hands? Don't do that to me. I have children. I get that enough at home. No. So like catapult, like throws something like when tension is released, and trebuchet is a counterweight. Both medieval siege devices and coming up in our pumpkin chunkin story, but two different things.
I'm excited to see the story. Yeah. I seriously did not know that difference.
I would have bet money that you knew. But anyway, I'm not disappointed. I'm just, okay.
You know what I do know? I do know that Halloween is not actually as snowy as most of you think, including you, Kyle. A lot of people think that it snows every year in Halloween in Denver, 12% of the time. And we only have snow on the ground 18% of the time on Halloween. This will not be one of those snowy years for us, but it will be a little bit chilly for us on this Halloween. Temperatures starting off in the upper 40s for those trick-or-treaters. And temperatures today in the 50s, Eastern Plains, a bit cool out there. We're underneath this area, low pressure, that influence, and that's going to keep us on the cool side for your Halloween tomorrow with highs only in the low 50s while you warm up as we start off November. And the first week in November looking warm with temperatures in the 60s and 70s.
I wasted half his time on the trebuchet thing. For years on Next, we have recommended journalism that isn't ours, but is worth your time. So we're bringing you a multi-part project called Matter of Fact, short segments put together by Coloradans passionate about good journalism, as well as the state and federal laws that protect access for journalists and citizens.
Shining a light on things helps us see things more clearly as they are. And the stronger the light, the better the understanding. And that's what so-called sunshine laws aim to do. They shine a light on our government and leaders to make sure they are playing by the rules. One of the most important sunshine laws is the Freedom of Information Act. It protects the right of the public to access information generated by the federal government. Colorado has its own sunshine law, the Colorado Open Records Act, or CORA. As a matter of fact, if you feel that there's something fishy going on with your government, you have the right to look at the records. This makes them great tools for you and for journalists. That's what journalists do. They dig. It's their job to see who is making the big decisions that affect you, why those decisions are being made, and what other interests might have something to gain. It's often said that sunshine is the best disinfectant for corruption. And that's a matter of fact.
We'll share a final episode of A Matter of Fact next week, and we'll be airing a documentary soon showing Colorado's journalists at work. You can see it Sunday, November 9th on channels 9 and 20. And you can learn more about the project, 9news.com/free press. It can be tough to get students to pay attention, easier when you're like, hey, do you want to launch a pumpkin with a trebuchet? Next. Our photojournalists often deserve hazard pay, and I think our Foster Gaines should put in for it today. I mean, the dude had to wear a hard hat when he stopped by Vista Peak Prep.
There's a lot going on, so currently we have 200 students on the property here.
Today we're launching trebuchets that we've built in construction over the past few weeks, ever since the first quarter of the school.
3, 2, 1! These machines allow the construction kids to practice fine skills, measuring, marking, cutting, squaring, plumbing, doing a lot of the construction skills that they're going to do for the rest of the year.
We've put a lot of effort into them, and we've designed blueprints, built them from the top, and we basically try to engineer them to where they launch far. We're launching pumpkins, so they're about 6-ounce pumpkins. It's the annual pumpkin Chunkin. We once a year we launch pumpkins for, the day before Halloween.
The goal for the competition, because it is after all a competition, to see who can get the longest launch.
Oh my God!
We're really excited to compete against industry. This is the first year we've invited industry on site, and it's a fantastic launching place for them to start having organic conversations with all the industry around. Just opening doors for the rad things that these kids want to do after high school.
I feel I've prepared myself so far within my 2 years. Hopefully I gain a little bit more experience. Hopefully if I'm a good job, have a great life. Launching! 3, 2, 1. Oh, look, feeling pretty bad. It's not doing very well, like we expected. A little bit back, a little bit back.
Look. We can put your pencil in your. Hey.
Well, we did the test launches. It went pretty far. It's just, I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, yeah. It's fun, like, whenever you, like, something messes up, you can just mess with it, like, try to make it better here.
Push it a little bit outward. All right, if it doesn't work this time, bro, I give up.
Hey, never give up. Never give up.
Launching! 3, 2, 1!
Oh, yeah.
We felt really happy. Went really far.
We sold it! Yes! Yes! Okay.
Trebuchets, they bring people together. We're back with your feedback next. Ray emails in, Kyle tried to pin nerdiness on Crispy Donkey and then demonstrated his own nerdiness by explaining the difference between a catapult and a trebuchet. Ray, I wasn't lying. I would have bet real money that Chris Bianchi, out of all people, would know what a trebuchet is. But you know what? The fact that that man and I are both nerds, that's just one reason why I like him. Suzanne on X says, thanks for the drinking game tonight, #trebuchet. Oh no. Oh no, Suzanne. First, I need you to hydrate. I need you to reach out to a trusted friend and seek medical care.